name is Gravity Castle, and today I'm doing a quick watercolor video for you. So a couple updates too, just real quick. I didn't have a video last week because crop and create times are crazy. I had a really good time though at the event. It was awesome as usual. But I did decide not to do the vlog. I did vlog a little bit, and looking back over the footage this week, just decided I wasn't happy with it. So no crop and create vlogs this time. But it was still really fun, and yes, I have already signed up for the next one. So, we'll see how vlogging goes that time. Sometimes the vlogs come out great, sometimes they don't. This one was one that I just wasn't happy with what I had, so, decided to skip it, and come back to regular videos. So, I had to laugh when I filmed this one, because I did film this video a while ago, and I filmed it almost immediately after I finished editing another video where I was like, watercoloring is just not my thing. And then as soon as I said that, I decided that I actually really wanted to watercolor something. So this video came about. I also really like these flowers. This stamp set I do believe is retired. It's an old Gina K design set, but it is by a very, very, well, I was going to say a very, very good friend of mine. Like, she's not my best friend, but this is a set designed by my best friend, Hannah. And I love her florals. They're great. She hasn't been doing as many florals lately, but at the same time, I really like them. And she did this birthday of flower series, I think it was in 2020 or 2021, I don't remember now. And this was the March set, and it has these really pretty daffodils in it, and I'd been really looking forward to coloring them, and just decided to go for a watercolor this time. So here's one thing I've learned about watercolor for me, is that I'm generally a markers and pencils person. Watercolor works quite a bit differently than that. There's some things that are the same, like when you're deciding where to put your shadows and things like that that kind of stuff is very similar. But you have a little less control with watercolor, because it's just going to kind of go where the water wants to go. And I've taken a few watercolor classes over the years, and it really just boils down to it's just not my favorite to work with. But every once in a while I get in the mood to do it. I also have a ton of watercolor paper, which I usually use to do more like watercolor backgrounds, because I'm a little less worried about the image, I guess, in a watercolor background. Like, it's just a background. But again, still, same thing. I don't do it often. And so I just felt like it. Sometimes we just feel like things. So I'm going to, and I also messed up this card a little bit, which I'm going to talk about right now, actually. So basically, I had this vision in my brain, and I'll admit now, even because, like I said, it's been a couple weeks since I filmed this video, and now I'm recording the voiceover for it. And I don't remember the original vision I had for this. I don't think I was going to actually watercolor the image. I think I was going to do some kind of like watercolory, washy background kind of thing, and then heat emboss the image on it. And that is not what I did. I think I just got a little bit ahead of myself, and I also wasn't going to use white embossing powder. That was the other thing, was I was going to use a different color, and I don't even remember what color I was supposed to use. But I just remember getting this far and filming the video, and like after I finished embossing this, because embossing is watercoloring when you have an embossed image, I think, is a little bit easier, because the embossing kind of like holds your watercolor in. Basically, it raises it up a little bit, and then like raises the image up a little bit, and then you almost have these little like sections to work in. Not something I really recommend doing with like your markers or pencils. Definitely something I save for when I'm doing watercolor. But I remember getting this far in the video, and like I'm starting to get everything set up and ready to like do the actual like watercoloring and painting, and realizing, like, going to color and realizing that it's really hard to see the flower on the paper because it's all white. Like, you can't see it now at all. It doesn't look like I've done anything. But and being like, wait, this wasn't supposed to be like this. And then realizing that I had completely started doing something entirely different than what I had been intending to do. But guess what? It's all okay. We just roll with it. It's fine. So I end up digging through my watercolor drawer. And remembering I had these markers from an old Crop and Create. I think it was last September's Crop and Create that I got these, pretty sure. And I realized that, and after thinking about it, I'm thinking I might find it easier to watercolor with markers than I do with paints. So I do have a bunch of watercolor pan sets, but I was like, let's try with the markers. And I did really like these markers, if you remember from from a year ago, from last year's Crop and Create. I had mentioned that I really liked them and kind of wanted to get the other colors. I still have not done that, so like shout out to my Full Set Syndrome for not winning that one. Not saying that it won't eventually, but for right now, I have successfully not let my Full Set Syndrome win that. But doing watercolor with the markers, especially when I'm coloring an image like this and not just doing some kind of background, I found it's a lot easier for me. Because the logic applies like a marker. So basically, I can take coloring with markers or pencils is what I'm trying to say. So basically, I can take this marker, put color down just in the shadow areas. Just like I was starting to color with my Copics or my pencils or whatever, I am someone who colors dark to light. Some people go the other way. That way never worked for my brain. Dark to light always worked better for me. And, this really personal preference when it comes down to it. But I can take that same logic and apply it to my watercoloring this way, and it's a lot less tricky trying to, get the colors to work than with the actual, paints. And again, everyone has different things. Hannah, extremely, extremely gifted with watercolor. She's great with it. Christina Warner, they're awesome with just the paints out of the pans. Me, I'm finding that the markers work a little bit better for me, and I'm tempted to. I haven't done this yet because again, I know that there's a good chance it'll trigger my Full Set Syndrome, and I'll have to have all of them. But I've also been kind of wanting to try to get the distressed watercolor pencils, and try those out, because again, it'll be the same kind of logic as using these markers, where I can put the color down and then use the brush to do the shading. So I can put the color in my darkest shadow areas, and then I just grab a brush, and then I just pull the color out, and then it does the coloring for me. It's definitely not as detailed necessarily as I can get with my markers or my pencils and things like that. That's the kind of stuff that you have to be really, really good at, like Hannah or Christina. And I might get there someday, who knows, but for right now, I'm not there. So this makes it really, really easy, and you don't really have to think about it. I'm not worried about matching colors and things like that. And again, that's probably something that would just come with time, because I just don't use my watercolors as much and I don't play with them as much. So I'm not as familiar with the colors that I have and things like that to play with, to really get all those colors worked in. But I'm able to this just makes it really easy, and it makes watercoloring kind of the quicker method for me at times. So you also see that I'm drawing things in between here, because what I'm going to end up having to do is multiple layers, especially this yellow, because this yellow is really light. It does not show up well on camera at all. It does not show up well in the pictures at the end either, just because it is such a light yellow. But it is very pretty in real life. I tried editing those pictures a lot to try to get them to either A, not be super blown out, or B, really show off the yellow, and I couldn't do it. It just did not pick up well on the camera. But you can see here, so now I'm adding another layer to the leaves. And basically, for the most part with watercolors, you can do layers just like you would with pencils. So when I finished this and I was like, all those colors are a little bit light and I want them to be a little bit darker. So I dried everything and then made sure and then add another layer, and it just layers on top. And you can do that to get a darker color, just like you would with your pencils and your markers. And that was a big, breakthrough moment, I guess, I've had with watercoloring recently, is that a lot of the logic and a lot of the process is really not that different than coloring with your with your markers or pencils, and I feel like it's starting to make watercoloring a little bit more fun for me, just because I figured that out. A lot of the sort of color theory, and well, obviously that's the same color as color, but a lot of the technique and things are the same, like the fundamental kind of stuff, I guess. So don't let watercolor intimidate you. You know, the big thing with watercolor is it's a little harder to control. You have a little less say in what it wants to do. So sometimes you kind of you have to be really, really aware of when you're pushing too much. So, you know, that's a thing. But for the most part, I think it's something I need to start, like, trying to do a little bit more of, maybe. I don't know. I say that now. I probably won't. I feel like we all have our favorite things that we kind of default to. So, like, I think I'll always default to my markers and pencils over my watercoloring stuff. But I have it, and I really want to get better at, like, actually using it. Also, the other thing I wanted to say as I finish up this flower here, I am using my embossing gun to dry my watercolors. I normally don't do that, and I don't really recommend it per se. Embossing guns, heat guns like that, are really, really intense. They're very, very hot, and they have a very small, like, opening on them, and it's very, like, concentrated heat. And for the longest time, the embossing gun was the only thing I had, the only heat tool I had. So that's what I used all the time to dry anything. Oh, because we're getting to the end of the video here, real quick. This is a sentiment strip from Gina K Designs. You can foil these. And I've been in such a foily mood lately that I couldn't help myself, and I had to foil it. So that's my little tip there. Now back to heat embossing guns. I like using the Ranger heat tool when it comes to just drying things. It's a little less intense heat-wise and all of that, and for a long time, I only had the embossing gun, and I just used it because I was like, why do I need this other heat tool? And then I was watching some videos. I don't remember. I want to say it was probably Simon Hurley, and he was kind of explaining the difference between them, and I ended up finding one of the Ranger heated tools on a really good sale, and so I got one, and there is a difference, and I do like to use that more but I would not use that for embossing. So, like, there's a place for both tools in your craft room, but if you could only have one, I would get a heat gun, like an embossing tool, rather than just the Ranger heated tool. You absolutely can do embossing with the heated tool. There's no reason you cannot, but it's just, it makes a difference. It does. But that's my little speech about that. So then now I'm just putting the card together. And like I said, the sentiment sheets, you can foil those, which is really fun. I almost pulled out. I spent last weekend cleaning up from Crop and Create, because if you know, you know. Crop and Create makes a big mess. And I usually need a weekend after to clean it up. So I spent this past weekend cleaning up everything from Crop and Create and getting the craft room back in order. So I already had this video filmed, but I don't have anything else filmed after this, so I need to get filming this weekend, hopefully. And yeah, so I had to spend the weekend cleaning up and getting everything back in order. And I had a place I was going with that story, and I'm not going to lie to you, it just left my brain. So I don't know where I was going with that in the slightest. So anyway, we're putting things together now, and this is me, I say this every time I use this die set. I'm gonna say it again. This is the Cheery Lynn Alisons ribbon die that this little strippy thing is coming off of, this little, like, patterned thing that I'm gonna put in between these two papers. And I really want someone to make a new version of this. This is I don't want to say it's, like, my favorite dies, because I don't really use it that often. I don't use it as often as I should for, like, 100%, but I really, really like this die set, and I would really like someone to make an updated version of this. I don't really know what an updated version of it means, But it's such a good die set. It cuts out, I don't know if I've ever really shown it. Maybe next time I use it, I'll try to remember to pull it out and show it. But it makes a whole bunch of different, like, strips and stuff. Now, Cheery Lynn is no longer around. So if you want it, you're going to have to try to find it on, like, eBay or something. But I really, really like it. And I love having those sort of little, like, subtle borders to put on things. I'm also thinking, like, now looking at this, I'm like a little scalloped. Like, if you had the Lawn Fawn has like a scalloped stitched border set thing. That would have been really cute too. But it doesn't really matter. I just every time I use that in a video, I like put that out there into the universe for somebody to try to make something like that again. Or if you like know of any, let me know. Mine works fine, and I have no intention of getting rid of it. But at the same time, if there's something else that has like slightly different like borders or something on it, I'd be interested to know. So let me know in the comments down below if you know of anything kind of like that I may have missed, because sometimes I miss things. I try to keep up on what's going on around the card making and crafting world, but sometimes I miss things. So let me know. Excuse me. I was trying to make that not happen, and I just couldn't anymore. And I'm just going to add some little gems on in the corner because I just felt like it needed a little something extra. And because maybe if I would have done it the other way, I really, now that I'm looking at it, I think I maybe should have done that. Should have done the pattern on the top and the plain on the bottom, and then I think I wouldn't have needed, or felt like I needed the little extra sparkles up in the corner. But very cute birthday card. Also, I think I'm done with birthday cards. Real quick before I leave you here. I think my birthday card stash is sufficiently restocked. So also let me know in the comments below if there's any type of card you'd specifically like to see. I know I just sent out my last congratulations card, so that might be on my list. I've really been wanting to make some anniversary cards, and with Valentine's Day coming up, that might be an option for a little while. But yeah, so let me know if there's anything, like any specific card type you want to see. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see what I can do. So anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below, and I'll see you again soon, and have a crafty day.